show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's June 25th, 2021. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always this morning by Matt Shodell, our managing editor. And we're talking about the news of the day, and the build-up to Paradise Camp is on. An awful lot going on, a lot of stories on the website for us to discuss here with you this morning. And Matt, before we get into all of that, they got a lot of kids coming to Paradise. Not everybody they want. We spoke about that the other day, but certainly a representative group.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like we said, it's mostly going to be 2023 and beyond that probably this camp will have the biggest effect upon. It's just, again, a weird year, all these June visits for all these top 2022 kids. Some of the top kids won't be here. Some will be on other visits. Some will just be sitting at home, like we wrote about, a couple of days ago. But, overall, I think it's a pretty good list. And I think everyone that goes is going to have a really good time.
All right, so let's talk about some of these stories. Since you just mentioned it, might as well throw out Jacoby Spells, the cornerback / athlete from Plantation American Heritage here in South Florida. This is one of the weird recruitments of this year. It looked for a while like he and Miami were kind of embracing each other. He showed up at the June 1st barbecue, but something's happened, it seems to us, between June 1st and June 25th. He went to West Virginia. Things went really well up there. And now he has said that he's going to make an announcement July 4th. He's home this weekend, but he's not coming to Paradise. He's obviously invited to Paradise, but he's not coming to Paradise. So even though he's saying Miami's in its final two, are we correct in deducing that a Miami in its final two that's not getting a visit to Paradise might not really be a Miami in its final two?
Yeah, I mean, like I posted on the message board yesterday, recruiting's never, it's always in flux. It's never static. So who's to say? Maybe coaches will entice him to go out there. I think I said they should just carry him on his couch over to campus. You got to do what you got to do.
And the limo, right? It's only Plantation. Can't cost too much money.
Yeah, right. I mean, stuff happens. Stuff changes in recruiting all the time. If he was signing somewhere today, would it be Miami? I don't think so. But there's a lot of time between now and July 4th, a lot of time between July 4th and, the second Wednesday in December. So, I mean, it is what it is. All you can do is try. I hope, Miami's lesson in the past, I hope won't be to give up on kids that don't show enough interest and seem to be wanting to go elsewhere, because you just got to give it your best shot. You just don't know what's going to happen. I always bring people back to the Tracy Howard thing, right? I mean, a week before signing day, there was no way Tracy Howard was coming. He wasn't even going to visit Miami. And then they talked him into just coming. Just come on an official, just have some fun. We know you're not coming here. Just have some fun, hang out, whatever. Wind up coming to Miami. So, you just don't know. And you got to take your shots. You can't just give up on kids because you think they don't want you and you only want kids that want to be at Miami. That's just not the way modern recruiting works anymore. And hopefully, Miami staff will stay after all these top kids, no matter where they wind up picking, the ones that don't pick Miami.
Yeah, well, I mentioned this the other day. This is not going to be a recruiting cycle where you give up on anything and anybody early, because this has been a crazy month. Kids have taken an enormous number of visits. They're mentally worn out. They're tired. The coaches have really had a rough month, grinding it out every single day. And so everybody's kind of a little worn out, not necessarily at their best. And there'll be some commitments here coming up soon, and that we'll see. And guys might theoretically take themselves off the table. But at the same time, like you said, there's a long way between July and December. And, I think we're going to see all these battles continue onward from the end of this recruiting weekend and forward into the season and then into December. All right, so let's talk about some of these stories that are on the website at CaneSport.com for everybody to read this morning. I'm going to start with my favorite, because I love this kid's name. It's just an absolute, I don't really know how to pronounce it, but it looks to me like Tapuve Snoop Amana. Okay, and he's an offensive lineman from Utah. And the cool part about this story is that his brother played at Utah under Dennis Erickson. And apparently Dennis would constantly tell stories about Miami and his years at Miami and the championships he won at Miami. And his brother would come home and pass those stories on to Puve, or should we call him Snoop? Don't know him well enough to know whether he prefers Tapuve or Snoop. But nevertheless, this offensive lineman from Utah, Matt, is going to be visiting for Paradise, and he's hoping to go home with an offer.
Yeah, and he said the stories were crazy that his brother told him, but he says he thinks his brother even held back, like on some of the stories, because Snoop was sort of younger. But he does go by Snoop, and the nickname probably doesn't come from anything you would think of. He was a big fan of Peanuts and Charlie Brown, watching Charlie Brown cartoons when he was younger, and they would call him Snoopy, 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 love Snoopy. And then as he got older, they shortened it to Snoop. So yeah, he goes by Snoop. Nobody can pronounce his name, so let's just call him Snoop.
I'm guessing that some of Dennis's better stories weren't told. I mean, the Dennis stories at the University of Miami are legendary material in more ways than one. And I'm guessing that the best stuff he left out. But it clearly had some effectiveness because you've got Snoop here who's traveling from Utah all the way to Coral Gables for Paradise Camp. He doesn't even have an offer yet. So he's interested enough in Miami that he's hoping to get the attention of Miami coaches. All right, another kid that falls in the same category is a linebacker from Las Vegas by the name of Benjamin Hudson. And the interesting thing with Benjamin is he plays at Bishop Gorman out there in Vegas, which is the same school that produced Brevin Jordan, Bubba Bolden, and even Tate Martell. And obviously it's a high-quality football program out there in Vegas. And Hudson also does not have an offer. He's coming across the country as well to try to get one. Other stories, a kid that I think I would keep an eye on is Zane Durant. He's a defensive lineman coming to Paradise, a guy that I know Miami coaches Jess Simpson and others have been recruiting very hard in this cycle. We'll be keeping a close eye on Zane Durant on Saturday night out there at the U. There's a receiver from New York by the name of Sean Wilson. He's coming to Paradise. A lot of out-of-state kids, Matt, coming to Paradise. We're not going to be able to talk about every one of them here on the show this morning, but I'm impressed by the number of kids coming from out of state for this camp on Saturday.
Yeah, and the vast majority of them don't have offers, which is really what makes the most sense, because they could take official visits if Miami really wanted them that bad, and they were in the class of 2022. But it's a trio of Louisiana kids with a pretty good offer list that are coming down from this Assassins team up there. I think there's going to be a lot of new offers. I think that might be really, when Paradise Camp ends tomorrow night, I think a big story might be how many offers actually went out, because I have a feeling that a lot of these kids, Miami coaches are going to see them in person and be like, because they can't evaluate a lot of these kids, right? Remember, they couldn't go out to these schools, in-state or out-of-state, to properly evaluate anybody.
Right.
So they might see some of these kids in person and be like, wow, this is a kid we need to offer and we want on the team. And it would not surprise me if there's a lot of offers to go out.
Probably a lot more offers than commits. I mean, we don't know that there's going to be any, if not numerous commits on Saturday night. I'm trying to think who we would put on commit watch on Saturday morning before we go out there.
Shamar Stewart's going to commit. Zane Durant's going to commit. Jacob Hood's going to commit. Dr. Richardson's going to commit. Jaleel Skinner's going to commit. Demari Tolan's going to commit.
But are they good? Yeah, right. I know you're kidding. So I mean, my God, can you imagine if they got all
how great? I mean, that's remember Miami in the old days? Like kids would come down and just commit. Like amazing prospects would just come down and be like, "This is it," and it doesn't happen anymore. These kids nowadays are just so different than it used to be. It used to be they loved it, they loved the coaches, they liked the school. Okay, I'm coming here. And now it's like, well, let me see what else is out there. And it's not just Miami. I mean, it's with every school. It's just the way these kids are now, and that's why recruiting has gotten a little bit messy. It's I don't want to say it's our fault, but when these kids are now getting all this national attention, whereas there didn't used to be really even a huge internet presence for these kids, it's sort of like they want to get some attention, have some fun, it's like almost like entertainment for them, like playing a video game, but with their own lives. So it makes for a messy recruitment. I don't even know how Miami coaches and other college coaches around the country deal with some of the situations these kids put them in. But, at the end of the day, you wind up with your signees. I guess they got to go somewhere eventually, all of them.
All right. Among the kids that I have not mentioned yet, there's a 4-star running back who decommitted. He's a 2023 kid, Ruben Owens. He decommitted from Texas recently, a day after getting a Miami offer. Is there a coincidence there? We explore that situation in a story on him this morning. And then, of course, a preview of the weekend visitors, pretty star-studded list. I mean, we talked about Zane Duran earlier, but Jacob Hood is an offensive tackle that's a prototypical left tackle. I got a chance to see him about a week ago at the Rivals 5-Star Challenge in Atlanta. Got to know him a little bit. Really nice kid. Very, very physically imposing. Already has a college body. He'll lose a little bit of the baby fat he still has, but he's got the frame for the college game, and without question, one of the top priorities for Miami in recruiting this year. He'll be on campus this weekend. Another one to keep an eye on is Daughtry Richardson. I'm sure Miami coaches, Coach Justice, is going to be impressing upon him with Jacob Hood. You guys can be our bookend tackles. We want you here at the U. You guys can be the foundation for our offensive line over the next 3-4 years. That'll be that sales pitch without question. And one I'm going to be watching really, really close, Matt, is Jaleel Skinner, a kid that maybe doesn't get the notoriety and the recognition amongst the fan base that he should because he plays tight end. But without a doubt, one of the top couple tight ends in the country. He'll be on campus this weekend. I'm sure Steve Field will be very close everywhere he goes. And so we'll be watching the commitments this weekend. We'll be out in force for Paradise Camp. Check the website a lot. Saturday night, we'll have a lot of coverage for you Saturday night and into Sunday. Then, of course, Sunday, we'll have coverage of the weekend visits. And by the end of the weekend, Matt and I actually were talking about this today. We're hoping to be able to take a step back by Monday morning and start to, kind of get our hands around what this class might look like. And, we'll be trying to put all that together for you guys as we head into early next week. All right, so that's going to do it for this morning. We thank you for joining us on Good Morning CaneSport. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We'll be at the U all weekend. We'll come back at you, I guess, Monday morning with more. And until then, we'll say have a great weekend and goodbye, everybody.